So I'm here with two of my friends from the Critics Academy.
I'm James Berclaz-Lewis.
And I'm Laya Maheshwari.
So we saw The Dirties a couple days ago at the Locarno Film Festival and international premiere of the film. It's a Canadian film directed by Matt Johnson, who is his first feature, and he acts in the film as well. And it's about a school shooting.
When I just walked out, I was more impressed by the movie's laughs and because I had a good time.
Mhm.
But then I've had 2 days to let it sink in, and the fact of the matter is, it's not stayed at all. Yeah, I think the film depicts bullying well. The incidents of bullying are quite affecting because they're done in a very matter of fact way. They're not comically
realistic.
exaggerated, or they're not done incessantly, so you just become numb to it. But when it comes to tackling the bullying, which is what the film's unique feature is, I'm not really that on board.
Well, I think
Didn't
that's the
work for me.
point. Like, it's supposed to make the viewer side with the main characters the whole way through and then kind of
Yeah,
turn
so-
it on you.
I don't side with the main characters. First of all,
Did you side with them at all, though?
I believe Owen is the main character of the piece, and Matt is more like a supporting character.
Oh, really? I would have said the other way around.
Because I wish that had been the case. Because for me, I sympathize with Owen a lot. I could relate to him. I could be.
Yeah,
I could put
he's the more
myself in
relatable
his shoes.
character. He's
Matt-
like the
yeah.
moral center.
And Matt is more the zany, manic prankster who's good in short doses, but when he takes center stage, I wasn't really rooting for him. I didn't really get the justification behind him actually pulling it off, and I lost the film in the last 15 minutes.
I think it was a very ambitious film on sort of the subjects it was tackling and the way it was going about it, and doing that, especially, was this his first film?
Yep.
At
First
least his
feature.
first feature film, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing in itself, but because it was so ambitious, it was very likely that with a first sort of try, he was going to fail in many ways, and like I
But
think,
it's impressive for a
does.
first.
I think it's impressive that he's tried to go that far, and I think there are many very enjoyable things in it, like the acting.
The acting's
It's very
really
naturalistic.
good. Yeah.
Like Laya said, the way that the bullying, the actual bullying acts are depicted, is quite striking. And for me, it was an experience. I mean, I've never experienced bullying myself, but it was something that really engaged me and so that was good. That was very good. But there was that whole. They introduced sort of halfway through this whole meta thing with is the camera filming now a real camera?
Yeah.
And then
That
he's
was
acting
confusing.
for an audience within the film or us,
Yeah.
and that was useless. There was
Yeah.
it would have been interesting in the context of maybe another film, but
Or
it
had
doesn't
they
really have
been
a
more
place
clear
there.
about it?
Hmm?
You didn't know when it was a movie in the movie,
Exactly,
or when it was the movie.
which is perfectly fine thing to do. But why use this in a sort of film that wants to try and say something about bullying? It doesn't really have much sense.
But the point is, they're making a film about bullying in the
Right,
film.
yeah. But then what I was interested in, and I don't know if this is sort of a spoiler, so if you can cut it after.
Yeah, it's okay.
But there is that there's that sense that for a film that's sort of about bullying, I don't know how they meant to what they wanted the audience to take out from it afterwards, but he essentially becomes a bully.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but
Right? But that being said, sorry, go for it.
no.
Were they hoping for some emotional satisfaction for us as we saw Matt upend the tables and become what he'd been victimized as? I don't really get it. It was a cool trick. It was something we hadn't seen before, but I don't see where it goes from there or how exactly it changes things. The only thing I see there is Matt devolving into a psychopath.
But I think they're trying to show that the bullying drove him to do that, and just to give a different side to the shooter in a film. Because usually when you watch a film like this about a shooting, you don't ever see the shooter's perspective, or if you do, it's always, he's crazy or he's just a monster. Or there's never you never follow that person the whole way, get to know them for who they are and what their life is like. As a normal life in this film, it's not really, they're not anyone like,
So that's what
he's not crazy from the beginning.
No, that's what I mean. We get to know Owen that way in the film, but I never got to know Matt that way. For me, I always saw Matt through the point of view of Owen. You see Matt's room, the posters on Matt's walls through the point of view of Owen. You never see Matt's justification for loving movies that much, or for, and you can always make the case because Owen's the quiet guy. He never actually seeks out the bullies. Things just happen to him because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But Matt, because of his brash demeanor and because of how manic and outspoken he is, it's like sometimes he invites the bullying. You see
Yeah, I
that
feel like
happening from
Owen
afar.
also
You
gets
don't
bullied
understand
because
why.
he's with Matt.
Yeah, and you don't see that. You see that happening from afar, but you don't see it why Matt does that. Why he likes to provoke the bullies sometimes, or why he's so manic in the first place.
I think that's just his character. He's just
I think that could be one of the what I was talking about. It could be sort of a redeeming factor for that whole the shift in Matt's personality towards the end and what happens there is that in reality throughout the whole film, while you're mostly following Matt is sort of the most vibrant character on the screen, and so he attracts the attention. The real person that the audience is meant to identify and engage with is actually Owen throughout the film.
Yeah.
So that might be analyzing that way, looked at that way. The ending makes more sense.
Yeah, when Owen is bullied, you actually feel bad because you can imagine the consequences of this. Matt is just a loner and he is not even concerned with what's happening in the school or its hierarchy.
Right.
So him being beat down or him being pushed in the corridor is an act of bullying in itself but has no repercussions or no consequences afterwards.
Did you feel at all that he was doing it for the sake of his movie? Like, why would he film that?
I don't know. I honestly lost track of the meta thing midway through the movie. Like, I wasn't really following whether something was intended, whether something was happening.
No, but he sets up cameras to film himself killing everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, was he doing it for the sake of the shock and, like, I don't
No,
know.
he
Well, that's
wanted-
because he's a character in a film, even
Yeah.
in his real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, yeah.
He
He
feels
was
that he's a
he
character.
was living that shooting incident as a scene in a movie. He wanted, so
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
him as a director and him as a victim of bullying working at the
Right.
same time.
That's-
Which is why Matt is never really a believable three-dimensional person for me. It's more like Owen's best friend, and Owen's the real person for me in the movie. I'd really have rather followed Owen throughout the movie. The last 15 minutes are meant to haunt you, are meant to disturb you, and not just provoke you, but actually disturb you. But they didn't disturb me.
I found it a
because-
little bit, like, disturbing.
Yeah.
Well, just because I didn't really see it the way that you saw Owen as the protagonist more so than Matt the whole time. Like, I saw them both kind of equal. I just thought, like, it was kind of evenly their movie. Even though, as you said,
talking
like...
about evenness in the movie, I don't think it balances tones evenly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's like, it tries to be funny. No, I think it is funny. Like, it works on
It
a
is
comedic
funny
level.
and
But, like,
it is-
it's a darkly fun, like...
So it's dark at times, it's funny at times, just the two don't gel together. The whole doesn't work for me.
I don't know. I feel like he almost tried to, like, make it
Of course, he
uneven.
tried, but it didn't work.
No, but, like, it's supposed to just kind of put you off.
To be uneven, right? That's what that would be. I mean, it could be, right? It could.
Because the whole topic of it is, like, to put you off.
But I
mean,
think it doesn't necessarily. I don't think it necessarily even functions. Like, is it intelligent to do it in that sort of
Yeah,
way?
I don't think
in
it's
a uneven
intelligent
way?
enough to do that.
I'd really like though to sort of stress that it's ambitious in what it's trying
Yeah,
to
it is
do, and it
ambitious.
tries to do many things that are trying to be quite clever.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of it's great to do that, and it's great that I very much hope
it also
that it continues
takes from
to
a
do
lot
that.
of movies. It's, like, very movie
Right.
inspired, like,
Yeah.
quite literally.
It's just I think there are a couple of phases that make that as a whole there's a lot of coherence issues that make it difficult to
Yep.
engage with it. But
Mm-hmm.
There's enough clever
That would be it.
ideas in this movie for maybe 2 movies. Like
Right,
there's
exactly.
so much going on.
Yeah.
You could make 2 great movies out of the ideas in this one movie. It's just that they don't all blend together into 85 minutes.
that is
Yeah.
a perfect summary.
But
I
yeah,
know.
it's funny.
And-
It's a good time, and
No, it's
like,
it's
there's enough laughs to
entertaining
keep
film.
you occupied
Yeah.
throughout the runtime, and maybe even after. Like even the closing credits are a real hoot.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the
right.
closing credits are great.
Yeah, I'm amazed that I haven't actually talked about this. Is that it is quite funny. There is
Yep.
Matt and Owen's chemistry together.
They work
gives you some
really
laughs,
well,
and it's pretty
yeah.
good, and that's very. I enjoyed that quite a
Yeah.
lot. Actually.
It's definitely worth a watch. I mean, just go ahead, watch it. It'll certainly leave you with thoughts afterwards. Maybe you'll be satisfied. Maybe you'll be drained. Maybe you'll
It kind
be
of, like,
irritated.
it challenges
but-
you morally
Yeah.
because you have to decide if you still want to side. I don't know if you ever side with Matt or I don't know. Like, I can see it through his perspective, but I don't think I agree with him in the end. But
And that's automatically better than so many high school movies, so many buddy.
Yeah, no, it's daring and it's
Yeah.
different than most movies of that genre. So I think for that, it's good. I liked it, but you guys are like challenging me now. So okay, well that's our review of the Dirties. So check it out when it comes out and let us know what you
Let's
think. We're here in Locarno. Look out for more reviews of the movies here in Switzerland. YOLO Carno.
Yolo Carno.
And thank you to James and Laya for joining me on this review.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Peace out.
Every single bit I say should be scored to Jai Ho.
Every time you speak. Definitely use that. Thanks.
You just use that. Do you have anything to say? No.
So I'm supposed to shoot him or something?
What?
I just saw the Dirties, right? So I'm going to shoot every
So
person I see.
Because it's such a powerful film, it makes you want to do exactly what happens in the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
You should put like
Racist.
subtitles every time Laya speaks. just be really insulting.
Racist. I lost the film in the last 15 minutes.
Where did you put it? Sorry.
He has plans on Chrissy H. Matt doesn't really...
He has plans.
Oh, by the way,
Wow, you
the,
like remembered that too.
the H in Chrissy H is short for hot, as Matt Johnson told me. And the fact of the matter is, it's not stayed at all. It's not lingered.
Why are you laughing?
I'm really insulted right now.
There's going to be so many bloopers. This is going to be terrible.